Now Starbucks is $15.29. Now $17, $14. The price has definitely gone up for all the coffees.
President Trump are increasing tensions with two U.S. trade partners. As of today, 50% tariffs are officially in effect for Brazil.
Brazil, as an example, has been.
President Trump is using the economy as a political weapon. He's been saying that tariffs are about leveling the playing field.
We can't grow coffee here. There's only two states that can grow two places in the U.S. that grows coffee. One of them is our territory, Puerto Rico, and the other is Hawaii.
Then when you add tariffs, possibly, on top of that, then, your cup of coffee may double.
These same people are just fine with paying these tariffs for no fucking reason. There's no reason for this. There's no reason that I should be paying $16.23 for a cheap ass can of coffee. There's no reason for it. He's making it up. Grow up. My God. Figure it out, because you're losing your joys every day. Every day. You're losing a right. You're losing something that brings you joy. You're losing a relationship. You're losing a job. You're losing neighbors. When will you get sick of all the losing?
Raising import taxes to the highest level since the Great Depression. The Yale Budget Lab estimates the new tariffs will cost the average U.S. household $2,400.
What happens when the world's biggest coffee grower shuts the tap on your morning cup? Who pays when politics meets your latte? And can Canada or China quietly steal America's coffee supply? Today, the price of your coffee just became a political story. In 2025, coffee hit multi-decade highs. Arabica futures spiked to $4.41 a pound. And then, Washington hit Brazil with a 50% tariff on August 1st. Brazil supplies roughly 8 million 60-kilogram bags a year to the US, about 1/3 of our beans. When a giant like that gets taxed half its value at the border, buyers react fast, shipments get delayed, contracts are pushed out, and roasters warn of big price hikes.
Donald Trump's tariff regime is now officially in place. He has been celebrating since late last night. Just before midnight, he posted that billions of dollars, quote, largely from countries that have taken advantage of the United States for many years, will start flowing into the United States. Then just after midnight, he posted billions of dollars in tariffs are now flowing into the United States of America.
That post lit a fuse across the coffee chain. Importers froze orders, traders rushed to ship early, and some buyers simply canceled. Brazil's exporters reported July shipments down 28.1% year-on-year, with Arabica exports down about 20.6% and Robusta plunging nearly 49%. Those are not small swings. They're red flags.
That minute of calm, that moment of relaxation, is about to get much more expensive in the United States. So now a $10 bag of coffee becomes $15.
Retail prices already jumped. Ground coffee in the U.S. moved from about $7.39 per pound in March to roughly $8.41 per pound by July. The U.S. CPI for coffee rose double digits, plus 11.5% in May and plus 14.5% by July. For daily coffee drinkers, that's real money. A $0.50 more per cup adds up fast.
$14 for 1 pound of coffee? Bullshit.
Trump's 50% Brazil coffee tariff expected to rejig trade, send more beans to China. At around 25 million bags per year, the U.S. is the world's largest coffee consumer. A third of that comes from Brazil through bilateral trade that was worth $4.4 billion in the 12 months ended in June. Brazil warned buyers were postponing shipments to avoid the 50% surcharge. That means pre-shipment finance costs rise. Exporters could lose $10 or more per 60-kilogram bag if they push cargoes back a few months. Some cooperatives fear a domestic glut that will push local farm prices down. A bitter irony after drought-hit harvests.
I mean, we buy a ton of coffee from countries around the world, and we just can't produce coffee in America to supply our business. So when we buy coffee from another country, the cost of that tariff is an additional cost that we have to incur and pass on to our customers through increased prices.
I'm just so happy to be here with Alex and his mom, Ann, who own Smith's here in Eden Prairie. And it's one of the reasons that I called on this administration to exempt small businesses from this tariff war. The chaoticness and the unpredictability make doing business so difficult.
Brazil didn't just sit still, it opened doors to China. Beijing approved hundreds of Brazilian coffee exporters. Reports say dozens of new contracts already route beans eastward. That's a double whammy. U.S. supply shrinks, while Brazil secures alternative buyers.
Bruh, this feels so wrong. $11.49?
$17.49 for one can of coffee. In America. This used to be $11.99 a month and a half ago.
Major roasters and retailers are negotiating price moves. Expect 15 to 35% retail hikes on premium blends. Some grocery brands already shifted list prices.
And under Biden, I was paying $8.92 for 30.5 ounces. Trump takes over, starts this inane, trade war for no reason. It was $9.96 for 25.9 ounces when they raised it. I went to buy coffee this week. It was now, with that same smaller can, $16.23.
Families, cafe owners, and small roasters face real pain. Producers worry about farm incomes if beans pile up. Consumers face higher daily costs. And the U.S. coffee supply chain is now a geopolitics battlefield. Next, I'll explain how Canada and other players are moving in, which brands won't survive, and steps the U.S. can take to avoid a full coffee crisis. Before we jump back in, please hit the like button. We're on a mission to bring together 5,000 curious minds here at Global Insight, and your subscription makes this journey possible. Every click, every new subscriber is a true vote of confidence, and we're deeply grateful for your support. Thank you for helping us grow. Now let's continue. This is where things go off the rails. The cost isn't just a few cents. Yale's Budget Lab says the new tariff wave will cost the average U.S. household about $2,400 this year. That number helps explain why shoppers and traders are panicking.
All these other coffees that were originally before $8.99.
Just a 12-pack of coffee pods at $12.69.
That small jump? It's part of a much bigger shock. Roasters live on tiny margins. When green bean costs spike and import duties double, the cost gets pushed down the line, all the way to your cart. Traders rush to land Brazilian coffee in the U.S. before Trump's 50% tariff. Traders scrambled to beat the deadline. Some ships had stops canceled mid-voyage, so containers full of Brazilian beans could reach U.S. ports before the tariff kicked in. Others rerouted cargo to ports with looser inspection rules. That kind of last-minute juggling raises freight costs, insurance fees, and customs risk. And exporters and importers absorb big bills just to keep supply moving.
Guess how much this was? Guess. If you guessed below $5, you would be wrong. If you guessed above $7, you would be correct. What? Why are we getting charged almost $10 for a cup of coffee? Things are getting out of hand. I think I just spent $4 on ice, to be honest.
People are feeling it at the cafe. A 50-cent latte hike becomes a $182 annual hit for a daily drinker. That's not a trend. It's a squeeze on bills, comfort, and routine. Small roasters that buy in small lots can't hedge big futures contracts. Big roasters can lock prices for months, but smaller businesses have to pay spot prices that jumped fast. Some chains are absorbing part of the rise to avoid losing customers. Many independents are already trimming staff or raising cup prices. Expect closures if this keeps up.
President Kamala Harris, as you know, is not running for governor of California. She's not going to do it. What do you see in her political future, sir?
Well, she can't speak. She can't talk. She can't do an interview. I thought it was a very strange campaign.
Politics is loud here. It shapes trade in real time. Buyers don't want that uncertainty, so they pause orders. That means cash flow headaches for farmers and co-ops in Brazil who counted on steady exports. Jessica Nunez tweets about 25% tariffs on $30 billion worth of U.S. goods, including coffee. This fight isn't one way. Other countries hit back with tariffs and countermeasures. That pushes global trade into fast rerouting and makes long-term contracts harder to trust. Lenders tighten credit for exporters when contracts get delayed, so borrowing costs rise. For a Brazilian exporter forced to hold beans because a U.S. buyer delays, every extra month can mean tens of dollars in financing fees per bag, and margins vanish.
So I was at a farmer's market with one of my friends, and there was like a coffee truck. And so we're like, oh my gosh, let's get coffee there. Their matcha was $7 already. Oat milk was $1.25. And then tip and then tax? We would have been paying for a $10 matcha.
That short clip says everything. Small sellers pass costs straight to customers because they can't absorb big duty jumps or pay sky-high freight. A $1.25 oat milk add-on becomes a tipping point when suppliers get hit by sudden trade fees. Coffee, shoes. Trump's sweeping new tariffs could hike these prices. Coffee drinkers may feel the pinch of new tariffs. The list of country-specific levies includes a 50% tariff on products from Brazil, a major source of imported coffee. The U.S. imported nearly $2 billion worth of coffee from Brazil last year, which amounted to about 20% of all such imported products. Analysts warned this would happen. Tariffs on everyday imports didn't just target big industry players. They cranked up the cost of things we buy every day. Coffee, shoes, even pantry staples face higher prices when trade gets weaponized. When buyers fear surprise duties, they delay orders or try to rush shipments. That creates volatility. Exporters wait, ports get clogged, bankers charge higher fees to cover risk, and roasters lose the ability to plan. For many Brazilian cooperatives, the safest move is find buyers who will pay now, often in Asia or Europe, leaving U.S. roasters scrambling. The government of Canada is imposing 25% tariffs on $30 billion in goods imported from the United States. Trade fights go both ways. Canada's countermeasures force U.S. sellers to rethink markets, and sometimes whole supply chains shift north or to other partners, meaning winners and losers on both sides of the border. Who is winning quietly? Some players are pivoting fast. Big multinational roasters lock long-term contracts and use hedging to soften the blow. Large grocery chains quietly shop for alternate origins, and private label beans to protect margins. Meanwhile, countries that move fast to sign new deals, or that sit outside the tariff web, pick up volumes. For exporters, new buyers in Asia are tempting because they pay up front and accept different specs. Who is losing for real? Small roasters, indie cafes, farmers in drought-hit regions, and mid-size exporters with thin cash reserves. Many of these can't front the cost of delayed payments or pay higher interest when banks tighten credit. That's why some co-ops are asking governments for emergency lines, and why roaster owners are talking layoffs or reduced roasting runs. Practical moves for consumers and small businesses.
Is increasing because of the tariffs that start tomorrow. Here is a little bit of information that might help you. Freeze-dried coffee is not made from Brazilian imported coffee. It is not likely to be immediately impacted by tariffs.
Buy beans with wider origins. Blends with mixed country beans will be cheaper than single-origin Brazilian lots. Support local roasters who pre-bought stock or directly source farmer-owned lots. This keeps money closer to growers. For cafes, consider smaller cup sizes, loyalty discounts, or subscription models to smooth cash flow. Tell your customers why prices changed. People usually stay if you're honest. Choices change fast. Some shoppers will trade down. Some will keep the ritual and pay up. That decision shapes which shops survive. Tariffs were meant to protect industries, but when the U.S. hits non-grown goods like coffee, the pain shows up in grocery aisles and corner cafes. Diplomacy and trade deals can blunt the impact. Exemptions, phased reductions, or quick bilateral talks are the only short-term fixes that stop panic buying and rushed shipments. Farmers in origin countries are resilient but fragile. When buyers hesitate, harvests wait, loans come due, and rural towns feel the stress. The ripple is real and fast. If this troubled coffee chain sounds familiar, you'll want my next video on how big retailers are reacting and why border stores and Costco are suddenly full or empty. Watch my video, Walmart prices soaring, Costco and U.S. border stores empty. It explains how tariffs shift where Americans shop and what that means for your wallet.